lost when you don't chase it. What you looking at me for?
What's up, Zip Nation? Once again, we are on my main man guidance page. We appreciate you for coming out, and as we always do, while we give everybody time to pull up a seat for their favorite artist, we gotta ask, how was your weekend, man? How was your weekend, fellas? What's going on?
Same old, man. Just chilling. Took the day off work on Friday and just slept and was fat and ate pizza. It was a really good day.
Where you get the pizza from?
So I got a barbecue chicken from Jets, and then I also wanted to try something new. So I got a pan pizza from Domino's with Alfredo sauce, but it didn't smack the way that I thought. I got Alfredo sauce instead of the pizza sauce.
Two pizzas?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you different. You different.
he acting out rudely. He acting out. Ooh, the way my stomach would have looked at me, like, sir, you thought you was finna cash two pizzas on me?
Hey, man, it be like that sometimes.
My stomach would have woke up and chose violence for the next 3 weeks straight. Chris, how was your weekend, man?
That was cool. I went down to Boston area and went to a little bar. It was cool. I didn't do much of nothing though, you know.
You know somebody got into something devious when they like downplay things that seem significant.
Right.
I was just at the bar real quick, you know what I mean? I shot some bulls. Chris might have killed somebody this weekend. That's why he's so low key about it.
No. I mean, it ain't really much to do nowadays, man, with the panoramic going on. So
I feel you. So quick question before we get any deeper in this thing. Are y'all have y'all been vaccinated, or are y'all planning on getting vaccinated?
So I have not been yet, but I know quite a few people that's gotten the Moderna, and every person I talked to has said like they haven't had any side effects or anything like that. So it's kind of swaying my decision because I was a little skeptical at first.
Okay, what you think, Chris? What you think?
I actually just got my appointment today. Finally, out here they just opened it for my age group this week, but everybody at my job they got it 'cause I'm the youngest one there. But I just got my appointment this week. I'm going to 27th of April to get the PF Pfizer. The good thing though is it's at Gillette Stadium, so I get to go to Gillette Stadium now to get my shot. So.
Oh, wait, don't y'all got interns? I heard y'all have interns there.
Yeah, they come and go though.
Where?
Sick man.
I'm not gonna. So I took my first dose of the Moderna joint recently, and let me tell you, it was the smallest pharmacy I ever been in, and the sick part about it is the spot where I went to get vaccinated at. They it was on the news. It was on like Central North Carolina's biggest news station. Like this is one of the places in Wake County that is offering the vaccine. Bro, when I went in there, I said, "Wait a minute, what type of pharmacy is this, boy?" It was literally enough room for us three to fit in there, maybe one other person, and that was it. And I was just like, oh no, this is. I was 2 seconds away from. Ma'am, are you heating my vaccine up on the spoon? What's going on over there? But I mean, it is what it is. So we're gonna get into this show today, man, because I don't want to waste no time with it. I want to play no games with it. We got a packed show as far as, I mean, apparently the NBA is trying to compete with the NCAA, so I guess we could just call it May Madness, since that's the route that they're choosing to take here. And we also got some things as far as not only how the play-in works, who likes to play in and who doesn't, but what's going on with the NBA, man. It feels like we're in the dog days right after the All-Star break, where teams kind of cool it a little bit before that final playoff push. And some teams are cooling it. Some guys are taking days off. They're taking personal days. They're taking PTO. I didn't know the NBA offered such a frivolous PTO package, but I might have to go snatch a rebound if 30% of the work year is something you can take off. Also, we might have to get into this transfer portal because, I mean, everybody and their mama, if you played in college last year and you didn't drop 25 a game, you probably are in the transfer portal right now. And that's all right. We're going to talk to you too. So does that rundown sound good for y'all, fellas?
Sound good to me.
All righty. Well, we're gonna get it right rolling. Before we get this thing rolling, I got to introduce the master of the mix and master, Josh Guyton.
That is I.
The money man, the man with the plan, Chris Allen.
Right here.
And your little old MC, that's me, Kenton Gibbs. Now, to start this thing off, we got the playoffs, or the play-in, rather. Ain't that amazing? Ain't that amazing? Who would have thought in our lifetime we would go from talking about the playoff to talk about the play-in? But anywho, the play-ins, 7 through 10 seeds, are all going to be playing. Basically, the way this thing works, 7 and 8 are going to play each other, and the loser of the 7 and 8 game waits for the winner of the 9 and 10 game, and the winner of the game between the loser of 7 and 8 and the winner of the 9-10 game gets into the playoffs. That's correct, right? That's how it's gonna go. 7.
Yep.
All righty. So that's I know it sounds right. It's gonna be for both conferences, and I know it sounds complex, but when if you saw a video of it, it'll be a little simpler. Don't worry about it. It's something you could Google and it'll come up fairly easily. Now, with that being said, on the West, we have the Mavs at 7, Grizzlies at 8, Warriors at 9, Spurs at 10. The Pelicans are 2 games behind at 11. On the East, you have the Heat at 7, Hornets at 8, Pacers at 9, Bulls and Wizards tied, but technically the Bulls own the tie break for the 10 seed on the East. Now, I'm going to just drop some quick little opinions on the play-in, and then we'll keep it going from there. And I'm going to ask y'all how y'all feel about it, okay? Luka Doncic is quoted as saying, I don't understand the idea of a play-in tournament. You play 72 games to get in the playoffs. Then maybe you lose 2 in a row and you're out of the playoffs. I don't see the point of that. Steph Curry said, I like the opportunity that's in front of us. We have an opportunity to make this season mean something down the stretch because of the play-in, the opportunity of peaking at the right time. Scott Brooks, head coach of the Wizards, says, I love it. It's been a challenge, not only physically what the players have been, but that's life. You gotta get back up and keep charging forward and moving forward. And our favorite on Facts Over Acts, one of our favorite coaches regardless of league, Tim says, I think there's a lot of benefits to it. And so I guess it depends on what perspective you're looking at it from. I thought Mark articulated it very well. Speaking of Mark Cuban, he talked about initially he voted for it, all the benefits, and we saw that I think everyone felt the same way. And so I think we have to let it play out first and then assess it again. But I think a lot of teams being involved in important games, I think that's good for the league. I think you're always concerned about that. And so let's see how it plays out. But the initial thought of it, I think is very good. So, and I know Guyton is probably going to take the old man approach to this. And he gonna be hating on the play-in. So, Chris, I'm going to let you start this one off. And then we're going to get to Guyton, man. Because we don't need the hate right now. We don't need it.
All right. So, for me, based off the 4 people we quoted, Luka, Steph Curry, Scott Brooks, and Tibbs.
Yeah, and there are really endless quotes on this, but we just pulled those 4.
Right. The 4 we picked them for a specific reason. One, we picked 2 players and we picked 2 coaches because those are the people that show up to work every day and perform for us. So, based off of Luka comments, I kind of agree with him. He started off the season slow, then he picked up really fast. Then Porzingis came into the season late. So, I get what Luka's saying. Because if they were fully healthy this year, I think we all had them in top 4 or 5 seed this year before they started off slow, and Porzingis didn't start off the season with the team. But that being said, I think this actually is going to give them a better chance, actually, because if they play in it. Now, there's still time where they can miss it, but if they play in it, because then it'll get some of the playoff jitters off of Luka. Because I think last year he played well. Don't get me wrong, he took the Clippers to 7 games. But he lost the first couple games, I feel like, because of the playoff jitters. That was his first time in the playoffs. Porzingis hasn't really played in the postseason like that. So it kind of takes some of the jitters off of it. Now, in Steph's situation, the Warriors have been up and down with their roster all year long. Players been in and out that door like crazy with injury. Yeah. So this gives them a chance to get Steph. Steph can get hot, and they could go through the play-in tournament quick and be a 7 seed, and then they could wind up against a team like the Jazz or the Suns, because the Jazz just lost Donovan Mitchell for a couple weeks. I'm not so sure a hot Steph in the playoff series. I'm not so sure the Jazz win that easily. I'm not 100% sold on that. Even though the Warriors on paper are not a better team than the Jazz this year, I'm not so sure you put Steph against that Jazz team and he gets hot. They roll over the Warriors.
You know what? That Warriors team has the IQ, the basketball IQ of a piece of paper. So, I mean, the team on paper, we're not even going to talk about that. Guyton, what do you think about this play-in, man?
So from a fan perspective, I want to see it. I mean, it's more basketball. Essentially, we're getting bonus playoff basketball. It's going to be exciting. We're going to want to see those games. But from the player's perspective, I can understand how some players wouldn't want to play it. Right? You play those games in the regular season to get those spots, and then you get to a point where you're basically playing a single game elimination tournament. And it's not like every team is at full health 100% of the season. It's not like things don't affect players. So you can get to the point in the season to where you've been playing well to get to this point, and you might have a player that might miss a game. You might have a player that's hurt. And that's affecting your chance to make the playoffs because you have to play extra games in this play-in tournament. Also, I think that teams like Dallas, teams like Memphis wouldn't want to play in a tournament like this because they've played to the point to where they can get a good seed, they can get a 7 seed, they can get an 8 seed, and then you match up against a Golden State who has a player like Steph Curry that's experienced in the playoffs that can get hot. And even though you outplayed them as a team during the season, you're essentially playing a playoff game, and you don't want to match up against that. Even though the Spurs don't have the best talent, you're going up against a coach that has basically 20 years in a row of playoff experience. So a team like Memphis, I can understand how like they wouldn't want to play in a tournament like this because you're basically playing playoff basketball at that point.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you this. For me personally, I look at this and I agree that it doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, especially in a year like this where the shortened season or the shortened off season rather has manifested itself in a lot of injuries. A lot of guys are injured, and to me, it's just it doesn't really seem fair because if that's the case, then I believe that they should permanently take away a decent amount of games from the regular season. I don't mind having a whole May Madness and like, oh, we're gonna compete with the NCAA as far as like a play and all that. Sure, whatever. Yeah. But if you're gonna do that, don't then tell the players, oh, you still got to play 82, and then after the 82, you got to come in and play a play-in.
Right.
Because at that point, what was the point of 82? What?
Exactly.
And if this and the other thing is, I don't like the playoff or the play-in because the playoffs are already wide enough. Yeah. Without the play-in, 16 teams make it to the playoffs.
Right.
Now, for the fans out there who aren't necessarily great at math, let me help you out here. The NBA is not the NFL. They do not have 32 teams. They have 30 teams. With that being said, you can be in the bottom half of the league and still make the playoffs. If you can't be in that it should not be 20 of 30. 2/3 of the league do not deserve to make the playoffs. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry, but that's just the facts of this. The Pelicans are only 2 games behind the Spurs all this time ago. Who can look me in the face on this crew right now and tell me what you've seen out of the Pelicans, especially in the fourth, they deserve to be in this in anything that resembles a play.
Listen, the Pels will be up 21 going into the third. At the end of the third, they'll be about 14 up.
They don't matter against who.
By the time the last buzzer go off, they be down 2. It'd be like, how?
But here's the thing with the play-in that I'm interested in though. If regardless of what team slide in there, if Utah holds on to this 1 seed, I think I would be interested in seeing Utah going against any of these teams in a 7-game series. I don't have faith in Utah to have them like handle either one of these teams without at least a little bit of pressure.
I would agree with you if they didn't have Bogdan like they didn't have him last year. But you remember the only team other than the Lakers that gave that Nuggets team problems was the Jazz. And they didn't have Bogdan. Now, with Bogdan, I think the Jazz roll over any of these teams other than the Warriors because you have someone like Steph Curry who, if he goes 40, 50, 40, 50, that's going to be a tough 4 games to take off.
And he can do it. It's possible. He can do it. Right. It's within his grasp. I'll tell you what. The only way that this could be exciting, possibly, is for the East. That's the only way this could be exciting. Who are the top 2 seeds in the West right now? It's the Jazz and
the Suns.
The Suns.
But the Suns probably take it because Donovan Mitchell just went out with a bad ankle sprain. He probably gone 3 to 4 weeks. So
I'm sorry. I don't see a single team out of this West that's competing with either one of them. I'm sorry. Steph, sure, he'll put up 50. Too bad they're going to allow 120. Like, that's just
right.
The Warriors are. We can all agree that the Mavs are probably the best overall team out of that bunch in the West, right?
Yeah.
Y'all can see the Mavs slowing down the Suns.
no.
Y'all can see the Mavs slowing down the Jazz.
I think they got a better chance against the Jazz than the Suns. I think a lot of those teams got a better chance against the Jazz than the Suns.
I agree that the Jazz are not the same as good as the Suns. I would wholeheartedly agree with that. But none of those teams on the West have a shot. I'm sorry. There is not a world to me where this Spurs team beat the Jazz. There isn't. If they remain healthy, if the Jazz remain healthy, if Donovan Mitchell can limp out on that court, there is not a world in which I see either of these teams winning. The East, however,
Man, we all picked the Wizards to make it. The Wizards get in there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you what. And I'm gonna tell you what. The Wizards have now figured out how to get down in the stands as a unit. And this is scaring the rest of the league because everybody knows the Wizards have the walking triple-double in Russell Westbrook. Also, you have one of the most efficient, effective scorers in the game in Bradley Beal. You don't want to see that if you're the top 2 seeds in the East right now are the 76ers and the Nets, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
If you're the Nets, I mean, and we're going to talk about this later, they've played 50, how many games so far?
57 games.
57 games. Kyrie's missed 21. KD's hurt again. Harden is Harden. I'm sorry. If you go to the wrong place, DC might not be he might be all right there. Right. If they got to play the Heat in the first round, if James Harden got to go to Miami, hey, listen, he gonna live in Miami. Like he live in Miami, okay?
Miami, wow.
So I mean, the Hornets without Melo, that's fish food for whoever. That's a red lobster, endless lobster. That's what that is, or endless shrimp. That's what that is right there. The Pacers, if they get the right team, if they run into again, I think that the Pacers are perfectly built to beat a Nets team because the Pacers are a good offensive team, but defensively is where they hang their hat and they play as a unit. The Nets' biggest problem is they lack chemistry. They lack defensive communication. DeAndre Jordan has been so bad on defense this year. Yeah. It's been like appalling. I could have never imagined like, oh yeah, DeAndre Jordan's probably going to be one of the worst defenders in the league coming up pretty soon here.
So here's the reason why I think that the Nets are poorly coached. And here's an easy fix for the Nets' biggest problem, regardless if their big three is completely healthy or not. Why is Claxton not getting 30, 35 minutes a game?
Well, he is now with all the injuries. He is now.
I still don't think he's playing enough.
Your guess is as good as mine. I couldn't tell you a reason to keep him on. Again, if I was them, seeing DeAndre Jordan play basketball this year, he does not need to be on the court no more.
If you look at all of the reasons that they picked up DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin, Claxton fills all of those boxes. He checks all of those boxes for him.
Well, again, not saying you're wrong. He fills all those boxes, and LaMarcus Aldridge just retired because of heart irregularities. By the way, LaMarcus Aldridge has always been one of my favorite power forwards to watch. When I first started doing my career in 2K, it was the year that Dame got drafted, and it was me and Dame in the backcourt with LaMarcus Aldridge, and we won like 8 straight championships. He holds a place in my heart forever. We wish him the best. We sincerely hope that whatever is going on with his heart gets figured out. But back to the business of the matter. Honestly, the East teams, the top 2 teams, should be worried. They should be concerned, right? Even with Philly. Those boys are made of glass. Their best 2 players, I mean, it's Mr. Glass and the dude on SpongeBob who breaks his legs every day he wakes up and collapses a lung every night when he goes to bed. So, I mean, they need to be on the lookout too. But the West, I think, is fairly.
So
It's gonna
out
be
of those teams that we have in the East, we got 5 right now that's battling. What team do you think is out?
I think the Hornets.
I got the Hornets too. Without looking, because
Hornets.
the Hornets have an explosive team that can get baskets, but nobody knows how to create a basket. LaMelo was the one that created opportunities for them. Without him, their offense, they're just standing around at this point.
I disagree. I hate to be that guy, but when Gordon Hayward comes back into this lineup, Miles Bridges has taken on a lot on his place as Melo's been out, and he's been balling. PJ Washington, another guy who's been balling since LaMelo went out. Scary Terry, 17 in the first against these Portland Trailblazers, and they up 18 right now. Like they're not a bad team without Melo. I think the Bulls are going to hurt more because Zach LaVine is out for 14 days because of health and safety protocols. So I think the Bulls, if they can't win at least 500, they can go 500 in these next 7 games. I think they're going to drop below the Raptors, and the Raptors are just outside the play-in tournament.
I'll tell you what, Miles Bridges finally decided to get out the booth as soon as LaMelo got hurt. He said, all right, I need to stop rapping for a little bit, man. I need to worry about throwing down on folks. But yeah, Miles Bridges has taken a really good step forward. And the Hornets, my reason for saying the Hornets are going to be out is not my dislike or my disbelief in the Hornets. It's my belief in all these other teams.
Right.
I mean, the Bulls, I believe it's either going to be the Pacers or Bulls, but I believe that not the Pacers, the Hornets or the Bulls, but I believe the Bulls have just enough veteran experience, just enough guys who have been around for a little while. And
Right.
I'll tell you the X factor in this for me. If Kobe White plays well down the stretch, the Bulls will be fine. They'll be fine. But if Kobe White, with being asked to be with being asked to take on a little more of a load with Zach out the next 2 weeks, that'll really determine it for me. But honestly and truly, all of those teams are really good. None of them I think are like, this is a bad team. I don't know why they're here. None of them. Even the Wizards, who like
This has been the
like
most balanced the East been in a while. It's been the most balanced the East been in a while.
The Pelicans are legitimately like, I have no faith in them. I have no faith in Stan Van Gundy, no faith. The Pelicans, no faith. Anybody that's not named Zion or Brandon Ingram down the stretch, my faith in you has evaporated if it even was there to begin with. Lonzo, I'm looking at you. I had faith. It disappeared over time. But everybody else,
Listen. We didn't even bring up this point. Tibbs and the Knicks, they could drop into the play-in tournament. They like 6, 7
way.
range.
I don't see
like
it.
6,
I don't
7
see
range
it.
right now.
no way.
Because remember, it's the 7th through the 10th, though. So
you're right.
So if they 7th seed, they'll be in the play-in tournament, which I think they win it. But, I mean...
I see it like this. The way that is going, with Tibbs, the formula is always the same. You play your starters 40 minutes, and you let the backups figure it out where they may. Now, the beauty of it is you're going to win a lot of games in the regular season.
Yeah.
The problem of it is, well, once the playoffs start,
You can turn fatigue off.
you can't do it. And I'll tell you what, there is a bigger difference between the Heat and the Bulls / Wizards than there is between the Knicks and the Heat. So there is some credence to what you're saying there, Chris. They're only 1.5 games in front of the Heat, but I don't know how much ground the Heat can make up. After their terrible start, they've been playing well, but I don't know how much ground.
And then the report that came out, Jimmy Butler said that they playing soft. I didn't have a chance to fact check it, but he said they playing soft. Remember what happened last time? Jimmy Butler said the team's playing soft.
He said the Heat are playing soft?
He said the Heat lost 10 of their last 16 games. And Jimmy Butler said the Heat have been playing soft. Last time Jimmy Butler said that, the Timberwolves were in the playoffs. I'm just going to point that out to the audience.
Yeah.
The Timberwolves, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the team that's at the bottom of the Western Conference right now, went to the playoffs. By the way, they've been playing a lot better since D-Lo been back. Shout out to them. But
Okay, so we're gonna switch. So let me just talk about this a little bit, because we talk about the playoffs and teams that are in or out or wherever the case may be. I think one team that we can all agree that we know they're gonna make it, but we don't know exactly what seed they'll be. is the defending champion Los Angeles Lakers, right? And with that being said, what's going on with the Lakers, man? This last week was so confusing for me because they get a win after they beat the Nets. They go 2-2 last week, right? Yep. They get a not an embarrassing, but a fairly bad loss to the Celtics, and then pull off an overtime win against the Jazz. What's going on here? Is this just like this is basketball, y'all are professionals too, even without your best players, there's an ebb and flow? Or is there something to this that like, all right, these bench guys are starting to get confidence a little bit?
I think this is just a symptom of a team that has LeBron at the helm, which if you look at LeBron's teams throughout history, it's a group of pretty talented guys. But when you have somebody that's that exceptional at basketball and that exceptional at playmaking, even regardless of what your role was on previous teams or what you know your abilities are, I feel like it's kind of hard to get a rhythm or a certain confidence going because you can get stuck sometimes, being a corner guy or waiting to get the shot, or you just got to fill out your spots. So when you're assigned to fill out your spots on the team and then that person is gone, I think it just takes a while to get rhythm back as far as like getting into an offense where it's not one guy handling the ball and putting the ball everywhere. So I think it's just a matter of a whole bunch of talented guys that's figuring stuff out with LeBron. Like, I'm not surprised that they're winning some of these games, but at the same time, I just think it's hard for them to get into a rhythm when a guy like that just goes out immediately.
Andre Drummond went for what, 20 and 15 on 60% shooting against the Jazz? Oh man, if only somebody had told us. He's more efficient than what you idiots are thinking. But anywho, Chris, what you thinking, man? Is this a natural the season, you get some wins, you get some losses, or are the bench guys like stepping up and figuring it out?
First things first. Just like Guy said, when you have LeBron in your locker room, that is the ultimate leader. Like, once LeBron went to Miami, I think he learned what it takes to be a leader. And he learned that from Dwayne Wade. Because if you look at that 06 Heat team, D-Wade had to learn how to be a leader. And he led those boys. Yeah. He led those boys.
Pat Riley going to teach you, man.
Yeah, Pat Riley.
I don't know, man. Udonis Haslem was definitely effective. No, I'm messing with you.
Okay. But
wait, is Udonis Haslem still playing? Is he
he's still on the roster. He's still on the roster.
Good for him. All right, go ahead, Chris.
But the thing that throws me, the Jazz rested everybody once Donovan Mitchell went hurt. They rested Gobert. They rested 3 starters. I'll just say that. I'm not going to go through all the names. They rested 3 starters, and Jordan Clarkson returned to the lineup. The Lakers still went to overtime with them, and they had everybody other than LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So I think this is evidence that they can be a good team because they pulled off the win regardless. They're just a team strictly built around Anthony Davis and LeBron James play style. Yeah. Like, you got a big body down low that can bang and let AD not guard the biggest center on the floor because he doesn't like doing that. Then you got LeBron at point guard who gives them size at the guard position and gives them playmaking out of this world. So he can set up AD, he can set up Drummond, he can set up the 2 shooters they have around those guys. So the thing is, for me, it's just the team is they're hurting from what they're best at, and that's when their best 2 players on the floor, they are a very hard offense to stop. So I think that's what's hurting them. Their team built around 2 players, and when you have a team like that, it's hard for you to get wins. And without them,
I when I look at these 2, or when I look at these 4 games rather that the Lakers have played, right? Win over the Jazz, win over the Hornets, lost to the Celtics. And who else did they lose to? They lost to the Celtics, and I want to say it was I can't remember who else they lost to there. But the fact of the matter is simple. This team, to me, like you said, you have 2 of the best players in the game. You're without 2 of the best players in the game. Ben McLemore somehow stepping up and scoring 14 points in 12 minutes or something like that. Like, those are the types of things that happen when you force these guys into these roles. Yeah. It's like with the young man who's with the Rockets now, Christian Wood. Christian Wood with the Pistons was doing the things that he was doing, and he's still doing them now with the Rockets. In part, yes, because he's a good player, but also there's nobody else. Like it's just you. Like you have to figure it out or you don't. And when I look at the Lakers, that's what it has become. Andre Drummond has played on a team where it was him or nothing. Dennis Schroeder has played on a team where while they were balanced, he was the scorer. He was counted on to be the 1A as far as scoring, and then everybody else fell in, or maybe not even a 1A. He might have been the 1B as far as scoring went, but everybody else fell in line behind that. A lot of the guys for the Lakers, at the end of the day, they were never 1A or 1B guys. They were never even twos for the most part. Yeah. I mean, was Montrezl Harrell ever the second option on the Clippers?
And that's where I struggle with the Lakers.
Morris, was he ever a second option? Did anybody ever look at him and say,
nope,
he's going to be the game changer? Besides last year, when the other Morris got bought out to the Clippers, has anybody ever looked at either one of them in the pros and been like, well, that's the game changer there, isn't it?
Right.
You got him, oh man, I mean, at the end of the day, I see this as just, this happens in the NBA. Sometimes you win games, sometimes you lose games. Like you said, the Jazz rested everybody in my. Also, sorry for my knuckles being ashy. I just got out the shower, forgot to lotion up. But the fact of the matter is simple. The guys that they have collected, they're a lot of good role players, but that's just what they are. Even on their teams before this, none of these guys, except the two I just mentioned, were like, oh, he's the guy. He's it. So with that being said, like you said, you've got two of the best in the world. The team revolves around them. What happens to a planet once it loses its sun? It flies out of orbit. It has nothing to orbit around. That's what's happening with this team a little bit. They're flying out of orbit, but now they're figuring it out. They're figuring it back out. And honestly, this may be a good thing for them. Yeah. This may end up being a very, very good thing for them. I mean, because you got to go with the trade-off of seeding for your bench guys and your secondary scoring options and starters having confidence. What do y'all think about that? Which one would you rather have, the better seeding or your bench guys having confidence?
I mean, if I'm being honest, right now the Lakers are a 5 seed, and I didn't really see their seeding being much different. Of course, AD would make a difference, but if LeBron was still healthy, the way like the games have been going, I would still have the Lakers about a 4 seed. Just because LeBron is known to coast, especially in the time where if you look at the West, I don't see a lot of teams beating a healthy Lakers team. So LeBron is known to coast. So a 4 or 5 seed is really like an even trade-off to me. It doesn't make much of a difference. So I think this is good for them because one, if they maintain this 5 seed, is going to give those guys a chance to have a lot of confidence. And then they'll be able to game plan for the playoffs the same way as if LeBron was healthy, because I don't think it'll change their matchup much.
I feel it. Chris, what you thinking, man? Is this a trade-off you would take, or is this which side would you take in this?
Yes, it looks so good. It seems scripted almost. It's like they deliberately did this. Let me tell you a couple reasons why. The role players are getting a chance to get the spotlight on them. They're in LA, but all you hear about is LeBron AD. So now the spotlight's on them. So now when the spotlight gets on them in the main event, when they in the playoffs, they ain't gonna feel that much pressure. Not only that, LeBron was over there. The news was like, LeBron's overload. He wants that MVP. He wants it bad. LeBron's playing too many minutes. He's 36. He's playing too much. He's doing this. He wants that scoring title. He wants to beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record. LeBron's getting rest. Contrary to believe, I know we all know LeBron working hard day in, day out, but LeBron is getting rest. Healthy, rested LeBron going into a stretch straight into the playoffs. It just seemed too good to be true. It seemed scripted almost. Like, to me, it just seemed scripted.
I mean, you're not wrong. I definitely have to take, with the way that the West looks right now and with the play-in tournament, I would definitely have to take my bench guys having confidence over the seeding. Because at the end of the day, even if they were to end up a 2 seed, if you have to play the 7 seed, you're going to play a team that's hot. Right. Regardless of who you play, that team is going to be hot. They're going to be a team that's coming off of some wins. So with that in mind, to me, I'm looking at it and I'm saying to myself, well, regardless of the rest factor, just having your guys who in the playoffs, everybody knows the game plan. The stars are going to be stars. You know what I mean? Like the Brown is gonna get his 38 and 8. AD is gonna get his 20, 10, and 5. You know that. But the game plan is always simple. Just like the Pistons up against Jordan and all that, and just like if you played Bron and the Cavs in 07. You get yours, sure. Everybody around you, I'm going to make it tough for y'all. I'm going to make it tight for y'all. Y'all are the ones that I'm going to expect the leaks in the system to come from.
Right.
With those guys gaining confidence, with those guys playing, with Schroeder being the primary ball handler. Again, Ben McLemore probably would not be playing as much.
Yeah.
Or maybe not at all if Brown and AD were out.
Wouldn't have a job.
Not to say he's trash. I think he's a quality player. I think he's a good 3 and every now and then D player. But the fact of the matter is, those guys getting shots up, Drummond being the centerpiece of an offense again after not playing for so long. Because correct me if I'm wrong here, but the ever-selling Cavs had him out for what, a month?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had him out a month before the trade down was a trade deadline.
So to me, these guys playing again, Drummond having the ability to figure it out again, Schroeder having the ability to say, you know what, I am more than, just a secondary scoring option at times. It definitely is it definitely has a positive impact on that team. And now if we're speaking about impact, Mark Jackson, once again, I don't know why people love laughing at Mark Jackson, right? Mark Jackson is no saint by any means. I would not have him on my favorite people of the NBA list by any stretch of the imagination. But Mark Jackson be speaking facts, and people look at him like he got 3 heads or something. Yeah. Like it's crazy to me because still I have not heard any of those reporters who laughed at Mark Jackson's face when he said that Curry and Clay were the best shooting backcourt ever. When he said that when they were young, all those reporters that laughed in his face, I have not heard one of them come back, hey, Mark, you were right, I'm sorry. But anywho, Mark said that there is nobody that has impacted the game more than Steph Curry in the last 40 years. Now, we've had this conversation before, but here we find ourselves back again. Do we agree or disagree?
I disagree. Now, I know when we get on the topic of players impactful to the game, a lot of people that are not, students of basketball automatically go, let's go LeBron, let's go Kobe, let's go Jordan. And I think they're like pretty far down the list if we're being honest when it comes to impacting the actual game of basketball. Mm-hmm. I have Steph Curry second in impact over the game of the past 40 years. What is that? Almost the mid 80s, early 80s. I would have Steph Curry second on that list, honestly. The only person I'm putting over Steph is Dirk because I look at long-term effects on the game and we haven't seen this half-court three-point version of basketball for enough years to put Steph first. Dirk was the first stretch European big that they gave big minutes to in that they let, be in control of a franchise. And we've seen teams attempt that with European players every year since Dirk has been drafted.
Andre Bargnani.
Hey, Bargnani was the first, wasn't he?
He was the first overall pick to the Raptors.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. What a god-awful pick. What a god-awful pick.
Oh, man.
Jesus.
I don't even remember what draft that was. That was
05?
It was after.
Because Brown was 03. Dwight was 04, right?
Yeah. So it might have been 05.
I think it was 04 because Chris Paul was the second pick, right?
Yeah, Chris Paul.
Oh, man. Well, imagine if the Raptors had drafted Chris Paul instead. Oh,
with Bosh?
Oh, that would have been nasty.
Bosh wouldn't have left. He wouldn't have left Toronto.
I don't think so. I think that Brown would have had a much harder time getting the ring. A much harder time because Bosh wasn't leaving.
No, that wasn't 05. 05, Bogut was the first pick. It was 06.
Okay.
06.
Oh, so that's the year Wade won. Shaq had just left the Lakers.
Yeah.
Who was the champions of 05?
05 was the Spurs.
The Spurs.
Right.
The Pistons won in 04. The Spurs came back in 05. And then it was the Heat. Yeah. So with that being said, So, Guyton, you don't believe he was the most impactful. You believe it was.
I got him
it was
top three.
Dirk.
My top three over the past 40 years is Dirk, Steph, and Shaq in that order.
Dirk, Steph, and Shaq. Okay, all right. Chris, who is your most impactful? Who is the person that you believe has impacted the game more than Steph Curry, or is it Steph? Is he the most impactful in the last 4 years?
I just watched the ESPN special on Dirk, and I 100% agree with Guyton. That Dirk turnaround fadeaway jumper, man, he took what Jordan, Kobe did and took it to the next level. Because what they did was they faded back and they shot a lower jumper. Dirk turned around on one knee, used the knee for separation, and released it up high. Now a lot of players are doing that now on the block, and that's a hard shot. You can't block that shot because you got the separation with the knee, and then it goes over. But I will say this. Dirk didn't have players on a fast break. Instead of taking the 2, they pass it out for a 3. He didn't have that. So I'm going to have to go with Curry had to be his impact. And even now, you see little kids, they don't even want to shoot the ball no more. It's even kids that's athletic that don't even want to dunk the ball anymore. They want to shoot. They want to shoot. They don't want to dunk the ball. They don't want to get to the basket. They want to shoot threes.
I'll tell you who the most impactful person to the game was, and y'all gonna look at me like I'm crazy when I say it. He has never played a minute of NBA basketball. Daryl Morey has been more impactful to the game of basketball at large than any player we've seen in the last 40 years. Let me tell you why. This nonsense of Moneyball basketball started with him. He is the direct, like, you can trace all of these other, everybody start picking up all of Daryl Morey's assistants like, oh, I need an analytics guy. I need an analytics guy. I need an analytics guy. Everything with this nonsense of, oh, it has to be a 3 or it has to be at the rim. Nobody else did that to the level that he did. Not even D'Antoni. One of Steve Nash's best shots was his floater, which was intentionally a mid-range shot because you had to think to yourself, okay, Steve Nash is an excellent three-point shooter. We have to close out. All right, we think he's going to pass or he's crafty at finishing at the rim. Let's keep it at the rim, make him finish over us. And he would hit the floater regularly. D'Antoni was not this three-point obsessed madman that he became with the Rockets until he met up with Daryl Morey. To me, Daryl Morey is the reason that we've seen, like you said, the fast breaks where everybody runs to the three-point line. To me, that is nonsense. Like what? Again, not only is Daryl Morey responsible for teams shooting more threes, he's responsible for teams shooting horrible threes. He's responsible for guys chucking it up with about 17 seconds left on the shot clock. A fairly contested shot is like, well, it's a 3. It's better than a mid-range.
But
so to me, but hold on now. Here's why I say he's more impactful. Because at the end of the day, every level of basketball now, from Little League up, is like trying to jack up threes like crazy.
True.
Like, don't get me wrong. Steph was part of what ushered in the pulling up from 35 feet. But also, that was partly due to LaMelo Ball and his nonsense. Even back in high school, LaMelo was pulling from 35 feet like it was nothing. So to me, there was a multitude, and James Harden as well was pulling from wild deep. To me, this Daryl Morey and this Moneyball thing, we are going to watch the NBA pendulum swing to where every team is taking 43s a game. And then we're going to realize, oh no, every team should not be shooting 43s a game, and it'll swing back.
Right.
The 76ers are literally in first place in the East, possibly going to be first place in the NBA when it's all said and done, because they very simply realize, hey, Ben can't shoot threes, and Joel is best on the block. Like, that's literally their whole thing. That's it. That's the whole deal. They don't say, oh, we need a 3 or we need a layup. They say, get the best shot. And they do that. Even though
Daryl Morey is the GM. Yeah, I was just about to say, Daryl Morey is the GM over there. But this is where Daryl Morey doesn't get enough credit at. He's a Houdini when it comes to taking a steal on a trade. He got Al Horford out of there and got Seth Curry over there and Danny Green. Now,
Hey, listen.
Danny Green got a bad rap, but he still is the finals leader in 3-pointers made.
Hey, listen, I'm never going to disagree with the fact of the matter is Daryl Morey has made every team that he's going to better. I'm not going to disagree with
In
that.
the regular season, Daryl Morey will get you wins that you probably wouldn't have got from anybody else.
There is
However,
no lie. But just like, have y'all seen the movie Moneyball with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill?
Yeah.
Now, what did they say about Moneyball in the playoffs? Hey, it worked great in the regular season, but in the playoffs, when you just needed a winner to win.
But here's my thing. Here's my thing with Daryl Morey though. I can't necessarily attribute to it, regardless if it's been negative or positive. In most cases, in my opinion, it's been negative just for the sake of analytics. Teams have taken ridiculous 3-point attempts over the course of the past few seasons. But what have Daryl Morey had the gall to attempt to implement that style of basketball if it wasn't started by the Spurs, which was efficient, and then Steph Curry and Klay Thompson torched the league after that, which was efficient. He just did an inefficient version of what they did, but if those teams never had that success, would Daryl Morey have done the same thing?
I mean, I see it like this. To me, the natural conclusion of there are many things in life that some people consider art and some people don't. To me, sports is considered an art. It is more art than science. You cannot reduce sport to a perfect science. For example, there will be Michael Johnson out of Georgia Tech. He was a defensive end / outside linebacker. He got drafted by the Bengals. Now, by science, he is one of the best defensive linemen of all time. He has freaky long arms. He had great bend. He was fast as any defensive lineman that they'd ever seen up to that point. He was strong as an ox.
Right.
In practice, in the art of it, he could not put it together. No offense to Michael Johnson whatsoever. He had a wonderful career. He had a good career. But any career that gets to the NFL, you did great for yourself. But if we're looking at what the science said he should have been as opposed to the art is the difference. Again, the ability to do in practice is always different from theory. So would Daryl Morey have had the gall to do it if it wasn't for those teams? I believe so, simply because he has such a strong analytic background. That's the only reason.
And that's where I'm gonna disagree with you too, guy. Now, because if you look at Daryl Morey's career, every time the game changes, he gets the data and he tries to emulate the strengths, bits and pieces of all the successful systems in that season.
That's true.
Or that current time period. So he took bits and pieces of each. If you go back, even when the Dwight Howard led Rockets with James Harden on the bench, he took the approach from who? The big monsters down low, throwing lob city Clippers. He took that approach to them, and he got Dwight Howard over there. So that was the team that was winning. So Daryl Morey takes whatever's the hot team, and he takes bits and pieces of their game and adds the analytics to it that supports his argument. And he implements new systems. So that's what he does. So yes, you have to see Curry and them do it first, but he saw the Suns do it. He saw a lot of other teams do it first. So.
And he just put it on steroids.
He just like he does everything. He magnified it. And
for the folks who got Disney Plus, he put it on the super soldier serum. He said, "Listen, it's gonna be a more intensive version of what you already are." That's what I'm gonna get.
I mean, he completely ignored what made it work. He was just like, "You can shoot. All right, come on over, baby. Come on over."
No. I will say this though: what Curry has done, like we talked off air about many times, you can't teach that. Like you're never gonna find a Steph Curry, okay? So the thing is, Morey's right. Yes, 3 is better than 2. If you go down there and you hit 7 for 10 on 3s and they go 9 for 10 on 2, you will win the game still because you're gonna get one more point a game, one more point a trip down the court. However, Steph Curry's an outlier, dude. Exactly. Nobody shoots like Steph Curry. Nobody shoots like Klay Thompson. You don't have either.
Now, I didn't even see the end of the Boston. I saw it at the end, but I had to turn it off for a minute. After I seen Steph get an and one left hand backwards, I was like, "Yeah, bro, I'm not this. And again, this is not a human being."
Steph Curry's father was a great shooter in his era. He was a great shooter in his decade. If somebody paid all 3 of us $1 billion a piece and said, "If you can shoot like Steph Curry In 3 years, you literally can do whatever you want with this $1 billion to shoot like Steph. In 3 years, you quit your job, leave your old lady or old ladies alone. Whatever you got going on else in your life, just practice shooting like Steph. We will not be able to do it. We won't.
Yeah. Even if you gave an NBA player $1 billion and said do it, they won't be able to do it. Like, it's not even anybody. Like, it's a gift. It's honestly a gift. Just like some people, a gift is 40-inch vertical. Steph, 40 foot 3-pointer. Like,
exactly. So to me, the fact that people are even trying to emulate it, and I do agree that Steph has been wildly impactful on the game. Now let me make no bones about that. Steph has been wildly impactful on the game. However, I don't think that anybody changed everybody's system in the way that Daryl Morey has, in that everybody now is going super small. Nobody did that before Daryl Morey and them. The Warriors weren't even going small before Daryl Morey and them. As small of the lineups as Daryl Morey was doing.
They had Ezeli over there. They had Bogut over there.
Exactly. So to me, that's the most impactful guy to basketball in the last 40 years. No disrespect to Phil Jackson in the triangle as well. That's another one that you got to put some respect on it.
I mean, Daryl Morey tried that for a minute at one point too.
And everybody and their mama tried that triangle, and they was like, wait, what you mean you need a Mike, a Pippen, or a Kobe to run this? What you mean, bro? Like, this should be easily replicable. But anywho, in our next thing, we talk about how players have autonomy. We talk about how, Phil Jackson was the master of giving his players autonomy. Henceforth, him telling Dennis Rodman, go on, man. We don't need to see you for another 2 weeks. Go enjoy yourself. Go party. Go do what you got to do. But apparently Steve Nash is taking that to another level with this third eye Kai character. No, I'm just playing with Kyrie Irving. And Kyrie Irving's taking a lot of personal days. Now, we have at least 9 days listed as personal day, or 9 games missed due to personal days so far this season. And he has missed a total of 21 of their 57. Am I correct in saying that? 21 of their 50?
It's not even 17, I think. Yeah, 17. Yeah.
So he's missed 17 of their how many games?
He played in 40. He played in 40 this year. So
he's missed 17 of their 57 games.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's missed about a third of their games. Is this going too far with Kyrie? Like, is this something that you like, hey, man, you got to get up and play? Or is this, you know what? Do your thing, Kai. What you thinking?
It is I don't even know how to tackle this, man, because I think when we first got this team put together, when we were looking at when they finally got hard and they started doing all of these trades to get this whole team together, regardless of how we thought this thing was going to blow up, we saw the talent on this team and we was like, they're going to find a way to make it work. But with everything going on with Kyrie right now and Durant getting injured again, and we don't know what Harden is going to do in the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw this thing like go off the rails like early in the playoffs. And I think we need to start seriously considering whether or not Kyrie should like be playing basketball. From a skill standpoint, he's one of the most skilled guards we've ever seen. But at the same time, it's just like
he would do something so filthy to Bob Cousy if he put him back in. They would hang him on the court. They would lynch that man right on the court. Did he hezzy tween step back with a sham god on the end? Get the noose. Get it. Please get it. But, Chris, what you thinking, man? Is this too many days off for Kyrie? Does he need to retire, or what are we looking at?
The thing about it is, and I said off air to you guys, I look at talent about wake up out the bed and just go play basketball. No stretching, no nothing. Just wake up out the bed, pick up a ball, and just go get buckets. Kyrie is probably top 10 and top 5 in the league at doing that. Get out the bed, got the ball on the string. So, to me, it's not really affecting his play, but it's affected the team in a way, because now we brought it up earlier today. We in Miami playing Brooklyn. Kyrie got all this personal time off. Hey, Nash, this Harden.
What's up? What's up with me sliding the Ocean Drive tonight? I promise I'll be low key. I'll wear my hoodie. Nobody will see me.
I'll wear a mask. I'll wear a mask.
Can I go to Ocean Drive real quick? Can I go get some lemon pepper wings real quick? You're making an example of this behavior. Now we know James Harden is a professional most times, so I don't think he'd do that in the playoff settings when he could get sidelined for 14 days for protocols. But you open that window for that opportunity. You open the area for stuff like that to happen. And to me, Steve Nash is not being a assertive coach. Because if I tell you what, if Nate McMillan was over there, Kyrie all these personal days, Kyrie, I don't need you, Kyrie. Bye.
Hey, Kyrie, if Nate McMillan not coach and you need a personal day, you can personally go to Minnesota. You can personally go play for who's the worst team in the league right now. You can personally go play. Well, you can personally go to the Timberwolves. You know what? You can personally go to Detroit. You was up there in the Midwest in Cleveland. Come on, man.
Listen. If Greg Popovich was Kyrie coach, no, he'd be like, I give you rest days, Kyrie. That's all. That's enough. Because Greg Pop will rest his players. But personal days, for personal reasons, I get it, Kyrie. The world right now is jacked up. But this is your job. Your job is to go out there and play basketball. And if you got too much personal stuff going on, take a break. You can retire and come back. You can retire and come back. It's been done several times by several players.
As I have always said about the players and their protests and things from the beginning. I'm fine with the protest. I'm glad to see the protest. My question is, how far are you willing to go? How much are you willing to dedicate to the cause, right? And I'm not saying, I don't believe in Kyrie's advocacy. I don't believe that he's taking the right step. Not saying any of that. What I do believe, however, is if you are going to dedicate this amount of time out of your life to your advocacy, to your different social issues, causes, to your family, you must also be prepared for the scrutiny that comes with it. Again, nobody will argue with you that Kyrie is top 3 skilled point guards ever.
Right.
Nobody will argue that with you. With that comes certain expectations. And that's just the nature of the beast. You will never be able to outrun that, because when you are seen as a guy who, wherever you go, you elevate your team a level, right? Like, there's only one LeBron that, like, okay, wherever you go, that team is now a championship contender. We don't care who's there. That team, we now believe, is a championship contender, whether it actually is or is not. See the first year he got to the Lakers. That team was nowhere near championship contention, but because LeBron was there, all of a sudden everybody believed they would be. That's a different level. That's you breathe wrong, we on your neck. That's that level. Kyrie is at a level, a Giannis level, a Kawhi level, the level where people believe that you take the team up a level or two from where they're at. Maybe not necessarily the champion, but we expect you to be in the playoffs. We expect you to go deep if you have Kyrie on your team.
I'm not sure if he's that high.
But that's the thing. Yeah. I don't agree with it. It's the perception. It's not the reality. It's the perception. Again, the Lakers' first year LeBron was there. The reality, even LeBron healthy, that team was not a championship team. That was a maybe 7 seed, maybe maybe 5 seed, 1 series win. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Absolute perfect health. But people in their minds created, they're a champion. With Kyrie, if you look at the Cavaliers, if you look at him with the Celtics, if you look at him with all these different teams, the evidence is there. He actually does not elevate your team those 2-3 levels or those 1 or 2 levels that you think. But the perception is out there. So with that being said, Kyrie, you got to know that the criticism's coming. You got to know that the heat is going to be on you. And so for me, do what you got to do, Kyrie. Be the advocate that you are. Be the social justice. Be the fighter for social justice issues that you are. Be the family man that you are, that you want to be. But just be aware that the heat is going to come. And also, is it becoming too much? Absolutely. If you're missing 1/3 of the games, there's no way that you can say it doesn't. Just like you said, Chris, the star doing what he wants never exhibits itself in the second best guy doing what they want.
Yeah.
When you look at that Rockets team last year with James Harden, Who was the one who got out of line and did something that put the team in jeopardy and sent himself home? Daniel House. I mean, it's never the second in command. The second in command knows I have to be here just in case the star who's always doing nut does some more nut. But what happens is one of the guys on the team is going to say, if he ain't got to do it, why do I?
Right.
What do you look like telling this man, you got to get back on defense. You got to run harder. Kyrie missing his 5th straight game for personal reasons, bro. I'm not hearing it. I'm just not. I'm sorry.
I mean, you could do it with everybody, even if you go back to LeBron on the Lakers the first round. I mean, I'm pretty sure he knew to coach that season. I mean, I know he tried his hardest when he was on the court, but his defense was suspect. So he was like, look, he's still growing as a leader. He said he came out the next year. LeBron was legitimately, for the first half of the season, a defensive player of the year candidate.
Right.
At one point.
Yeah.
So that made the drive for the Lakers to want to play defense. So it all starts from that point, and it's a trickle-down effect. Because like you said,
your captain, your alpha has to be the alpha. Your leader has to be the leader. That is how it has to work. The Nets, number one, they don't have a clear leader. But if you are to prompt Kyrie in that role, what are you sending down the line? What are you sending to the what's the young guys? Whoever they got, Sham.
Landry Shamet.
Landry Shamet and
they got Claxton over there.
What are you sending to Claxton? What are you sending to him? Because again, he ain't been rich as long as you. He ain't been out there.
Right.
He still ain't enjoyed the fruits of his. He got rich during the pandemic, so he ain't really been out. The vaccine is rolling. Things are opening back up. Certain forms of entertainment, which were previously not privy to him, opening back up. I mean, you know how that goes. So he's got to show up more. Kyrie knows that his body is naturally one that's prone to some injuries here and there. With that being said, use your injured time as your personal time. Use that. Go do what you got to do whenever you get hurt. Hey, I'm going to do everything I can for rehab, but also I need to be away from the team a little bit.
What I don't like is he got ejected from a game, right? Then took personal time the next game, the following game. And I get it. They were playing in Minnesota, and a terrible thing happened in Minnesota. And I don't even want to talk about it on air right now because I don't even feel like getting worked up.
Oh, absolutely.
I get it. I get it. But you just got ejected for little to nothing because someone called you out your name on the court. When I'm pretty sure Kyrie's been a jerk to teams. He waved the Pistons off when they swept him. I mean, you ain't have to do that. Everybody knew y'all was going to sweep them. You ain't have to wave bye-bye to the Pistons. Nobody came at you. Nobody came at your neck. You get what I'm saying? And you take off a personal game the next game.
He was pissed that Stanley Johnson said that he was in LeBron's head. That's what happened. Also, Stanley Johnson, wherever you are, if you hear this, go to hell. Go to hell for doing that. There was no reason for you to do that. We had a shot at getting one game.
Is he still in Toronto?
No,
I believe so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Gibbs, by the way, you were really wrong about that Stanley Johnson is Anthony Edwards to Stanley Johnson with a Gucci belt because Anthony Edwards is actually
Listen, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again, okay? I was really wrong about Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He gave me big Anthony Bennett vibes. He gave me huge Anthony Bennett vibes.
I wouldn't go as far as Anthony Bennett, but I was very skeptical.
Going into the draft, he did not give you this kid got bust written all over him.
I was going bust. Anthony Bennett is a whole different.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Bro, regardless of how bad he was, Anthony Edwards gonna give us 10 years in the league regardless.
You know how bad Anthony Bennett was? He's like such a bust. You literally cannot make an excuse for why he was bad. There were no injuries.
Yeah.
That's got to be the worst bust of all time, bro. That has to be.
Well,
I mean, Hakeem the beat is up there, but at least he has size. You know what I mean?
I mean, here's the only reason I wouldn't consider Anthony Bennett the worst bust ever. Who expected Anthony Bennett to be good? It's a very serious question. Who before the draft was like, Anthony Bennett is it?
I'm somebody that would consider myself a basketball savant. When they drafted Anthony Bennett, I was like, I've never heard of this man before in my life, bro.
Here's the thing. That year, I was looking at the draft and I said, Oh, the Cavs for sure go trade this number one. Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason to keep this number one. There's nothing there to keep the number one for. When I saw Anthony Bennett walk out on that stage, I said, yo, wow, they really are selling. And they still got me to believe in them enough to think that they was going to make at least the play-in this year in the East. Boy, I tell you, always selling. Always selling. Because I tell you what, again, if they simply said, you know what, Kevin, go out there and play. You know what, Andre, we're not trading you. Stay here and like it. They be in the playoffs right now. If you look in the East, they be in the playoffs just based off that alone. But Cavs always selling. So anywho, so with this being said, with Kyrie sitting out as much as he has, with everything going on with KD's injury scenarios, what do y'all see as the floor for this Brooklyn Nets team? And what do you see as the ceiling?
The floor is the Heat winning both the games in this play-in tournament, going against the Nets in the first round, and Jimmy Butler putting the Nets out the playoffs.
Whoa. Slow down. Run that back. Say it one more time, a little slow.
The floor?
I gotta, let me get me a pen and paper. Hold on.
He put some Tapatio hot sauce on that tape.
Look.
Good God.
I got me a pen. Let me get me some
Put
paper,
the
man.
Texas Pete.
Now you said, let me write this down. Let me make sure I got you right.
The floor for the Brooklyn Nets is them going to the playoffs, them having these internal struggles. The Heat winning both games in the playoff tournament, and Bam and Jimmy Butler putting the Nets out the playoffs in the first round.
Okay.
And I don't think that's something that's far fetched.
So wait, are you saying that you would believe worst case scenario that the Nets slide down to the play-in and lose the two?
No. The Nets are going to be the 2 seed.
Oh, you're saying that the
Heat are going to be the 7 seed. The Heat are going to win both of the Heat are going to be the 7th seed. They're going to win. They're going to win their one play-in game.
Round. Okay, so you're saying after the Heat win that play-in, they're going to put the Nets out first round.
Yep.
Okay, I got you.
And then their ceiling is
That's less spicy than I thought.
They're not sliding down to 7. Yeah,
That's still pretty spicy. That's pretty spicy.
They're
it's spicy, but it's not crazy spice.
Their ceiling is NBA championship. If this team is healthy and they just like, hey, let's just go play basketball, regardless of what issues you may have, or regardless of if you got Kyrie, KD, and Hart on the floor and they're healthy, like the objective of basketball is to put the ball in the basket.
Yep, and they got 3 of the top, maybe 10 guys in the league are doing it.
And it's very rare that these big 3 teams don't win.
Yeah.
So if you look at the big 3s throughout history, I mean, none of them are as talented, especially offensively, as these 3 players.
I'll give you that. Chris, what is the floor? What's the ceiling? What you think?
Okay. Considering KD just got injured and James Harden is still out on injury, but he's coming back. We know Harden's gonna come back. The Bucks are 3 games below. No, they're 3.5 games below the Nets. Giannis just came back from injury, which is why the Bucks dropped so low.
Yep.
Kyrie playing by himself for the next 2 weeks, roughly, depending on what they find in KD's X-ray and depending on James Harden's timetable. I do think that gap closes, and I think the Bucks jump them in worst case scenario. That is why I think this is why I think this is the worst case scenario for the Nets. That being said, they would play the Knicks in the first round.
Ooh.
So Brooklyn and New York City in the first round. Something that we always dreamed of.
Oh,
the worst case scenario is the Nets win this series when everybody come back, but they lose 2 games to the Knicks. They go to 6 games with the Knicks. That's worst case scenario. That is horrible because then you put New York back on the map to sign those big free agents. Because y'all was winning the battle signing all the free agents. But you let the Knicks win 2 games, they're back on the map to be.
But I mean, the Nets can't. Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay, so it's not about what the Nets can or cannot sign. It's about what the Knicks can gain just from winning.
Because the Knicks have a lot of young players. They got a lot of cap space coming. So if you give the Knicks that close to beating you,
if I'm a, let's just say if I'm a, what player coming, if I'm a DeMar DeRozan and I say, not granted, DeMar DeRozan doesn't move the needle as much as he used to, but DeMar DeRozan on this Knicks team this year, they'll be a top 5 seed.
Yeah,
For sure.
So if I'm the Nets and I let the Knicks win, DeMar DeRozan go over there and sign. Kyle Lowry go over there and sign. You know what I'm
I'll tell
saying?
you-
They start getting some pieces.
I'll tell you what. So what do you think their ceiling is? Do you agree that their ceiling is NBA?
Yeah. When you have Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, your ceiling should be championship. It should be honestly. This should be
Right.
championship or bust year for them. Honestly.
I'll tell you what. Now, their ceiling is finals runner-up. Their ceiling is finals runner-up to me. This team has entirely too many internal problems. They have entirely too many. What you talked about with what happened in Minnesota, I'm sorry to tell you, it's not going to stop. That is one of the parts of America that is
I don't
going
even want to bring it up.
continue.
I don't even want to bring it up, man.
If that is a point for Kyrie to no longer show up to the games or to practice, I'm sorry to tell you, Kyrie will be very scarce at games and practice going forward. That's just the reality. That's just the reality of this. Kevin Durant and his injury history. I told y'all before this season started, a 7-footer with lower body problems, it never gets better. It only gets worse and worse and worse over time. James Harden is James Harden. I mean, do you know how wild it is that you can say I have a big 3 and James Harden is my most reliable asset of the 3? That is not a good statement to make.
yeah, sure.
I'm sorry to tell you, that's not a good statement. So, to me, their ceiling, if everybody's healthy and hey, we're good, we can play now, we're going to listen to Steve and Amari Stoudemire, sure, you're going to lose in the finals. The floor, I agree with Guyton. First round exit. Is the floor, because I think that they've done enough and they have enough to where, and the East is bad enough to where they're going to get in the playoffs.
They have to meet up with Miami, though. I don't see any other team on the lower half that they lose to in the first round.
I'll tell you what, I can see them losing to Miami or the Knicks. I could see it.
I can't see the Knicks. Not yet.
It's still the Knicks.
Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why I could see them losing to the Knicks. Let me tell you why. Tibbs' style is perfect to combat them. Of all the teams that played those LeBron Heat teams the best, who were the 2 that we would all agree, yeah, they played them the best? The Spurs
And the Bulls.
and the Bulls.
Yeah.
The Spurs and the Bulls.
You might be able to say the Pacers. Too.
Yeah, don't
You
leave
might-
McMillan out. Don't leave McMillan out.
No, I'm not. McMillan did his thing. Had Danny Granger been healthy, I truly believe that he would be the 1B to Pop in there. But he just did not have the horses in the stable. Like, no offense, but I mean, he made us think Roy Hibbert was good. Like, that's a hell of a coach. That's a hell of a coach. You can't say nothing else about it. Roy Hibbert proved to us as soon as he left Indiana, like, oh, it was the system, it wasn't you. Yeah. So with that being said, to me, Tibbs knows better than anybody. This is how you get into this guy defensively. This is how you get into this guy defensively. Yeah. So with that being said, I could see the Knicks beating them. I could see, especially now, mind you, if KD gets hurt again, if you just got Kyrie and Harden against the Knicks, I could see the Knicks winning that series. I could see it. Because again, the Nets will have the 2 best players on the court, and they have the best shooter on the court in Joe Harris. Sure. Beyond that, what else do they have the best of? They're not going to have the best rebounders on the court. They're not going to have the best
Blake
defenders.
Griffin in the playoffs in a long time.
Oh, go to hell, Chris. Go to hell. Go straight to hell.
Apparently he's good now. He said apparently I've been called trash, like I was trash for the last.
Yeah, you did. You point shaved. You point shaved, Blake. I'm sorry to tell you, you point shaved, all right? But anywho, I know y'all had enough of us talking about the play-in and the playoffs and all of these players taking days off. But we're going to let y'all go now. Come on back to next week and the week after that and the week after that. Next week will be our first week streaming from our channel, Facts Over Acts on Twitch. Next week will be our first week streaming from there. So please Come on back, and we'll get you right again on all your sports news. All right, peace and love, y'all.
You had enough.